Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope having a fantastic day. Bitcoin back up to 68.5 at this point. Looking pretty strong, a nice pump to sweep that upper level liquidation as we can see here on the charts. We talked about that earlier today, 68.8 being that potential target. And just to quickly throw this out here too, some community members asked me to kind of go over this really quick because with our premium trade that we took here, we got in at about 67,350, got out at 68,800 for a 20% profit. Now again, the reason why that occurred is because we chose specific areas based on liquidation. And so if you see here on my trade alerts, make sure you're tuning into that as well if you're in my Discord. Basically looking for a long in the 67K range with a TP at 68.8. Okay, so pretty much just made it clear as day where to get in, where to get out on this trade here. And the key takeaway is that that's really just an upper liquidation level. And we chose 68.8 because it's not a round number. I know it sounds weird and crazy, but when you're taking profits, never secure profits at like key level round numbers. In other words, 69,000, 68.8 is a lot better, or 68,950, which hindsight probably wouldn't have got filled, but the truth is that's kind of how that works. And I just want to kind of preface and explain what that looks like for you, just so you guys understand, and gals, of course, because I got a lot of traders that are kind of curious, how I'm able to secure profit so often. Trick number one is I actually set take profit targets. Some people just jump in and jump out wherever they see fit based on how they feel that day. You got to set a goal. If you're not going to achieve your goal if you don't set a target. Okay, that's really all there is to it. So let's take a look on the left-hand side. We can see 67,000, sorry, no, correction, 70,000 is that level of liquidation above the price action, or more like 69.7, but that would be the next key area or the next target. And again, if you kind of zoom in here, you can see 68,800. That's the highest level of liquidation that was present at that time. It tapers off from there. So we're probably just going to see the price cool off a little bit, maybe range bound between 68 and 69 before the next leg up. We may also see a pullback, but it seems less likely considering how strong and consistent Bitcoin has been. And if you missed my analysis from earlier today, it was pretty clear. The message was do not short Bitcoin. So it's pretty straightforward, folks. Not really in a shorting kind of situation here. Most people are asking, when are we going to short? When are we going to short? And we're back on track, folks. We had a very small short-term bearish descending trend. We maximized our benefit. We got some solid trades there to the downside, but at this point, we've shifted gears. We even closed our Dogecoin short in a slight amount of profit, like 2% or something crazy, because we wanted to get out of that trade before the price reversed itself. And I'm glad we did because Doge is now 14.2, 14.1. Again, this isn't an analysis of Dogecoin, just letting you know that's kind of what's going on. And sometimes you got to cut your losses, or in this case, close at break even. So what we're looking at here with the delta is that we're starting to see a shift in momentum here. This is a good thing. This implies that bulls are back on track. So now that this has just shifted, essentially we have more longs and shorts in the market. It doesn't mean you just instantly short. It implies we're probably going to see this continue for at least 2 or 3 more days. So that's generally kind of how it works. If you look down below, this is basically a 5-day look back. And when you look at liquidation delta, we saw the price of Bitcoin continuing lower and lower. Right here, when the price action we start to see a pullback in delta, that implies more longs are getting in the market, the price is going up, and we see more susceptibility for shorts getting swept, which is what we're seeing now. So at this point, with that shift in delta, so to speak, we're in pretty good shape here to see the price continue higher moving forward. Okay, that's what the back end data is telling us here. We got our open interest about 68,100. There is some at about 68.4, so we got a lot more input interest there, but locally here, more recent, we can see 67.5 is where more people are long, which is basically where we got in on our long too, really close to that. So that's a good sign. You want to be on the right side of those tracks. That's generally the consensus here. And again, I drew this cup and handle pattern out from one of my community members earlier, just kind of giving an example of how that pattern looks, what that pattern looks like. And in case you're not familiar, generally speaking, it will retest a local high, which we saw here at about 68K. And then the price will work itself into a descending channel before breaking out. So popular thought process is that cup and handles are like 2 handles. The truth is it's more so the second isn't always one of these. It's usually a descending channel. All right, anyways, sidebar, sorry about that. Let's go ahead and remove this liquidation here. 22 billion in liquidation was swept in 5 hours since we uploaded the video last. Let's take a look at the front end data here on the daily, see what's going on. So again, the general consensus is that Bitcoin is still bullish, right, folks? So if you saw my earlier analysis today, last week, honestly, for the last, maybe 10 to 12 trading days, ever since we've been above the 20-day SMA and honoring this ascending trend line, we're still bullish, even though the price had pulled back for a short while, okay? So again, it's okay to short into short-term descending trends, but don't attach yourself to the bias that the price is going all the way down. Some people seem to think that we're going to see 50,000 with that recent pullback. Not to say we still couldn't, it's just a distinctly low probability at this point. All right, now again, regardless of all that, what we're looking at here is we can see the ascending trend. We're respecting that. Same thing as earlier today. Not much has really changed here. Our MACD, or sorry, stochastic RSI and MACD are pulling back, giving us momentum to the downside. However, that's quickly fizzling out as our RSIs and money flow index stays pretty consistent and strong. We're seeing a lot of money flowing into Bitcoin here, just a consistent amount, allowing us to maintain our price action. This volume starts to dry up, folks, we're going to see the price pull back. That's oftentimes what you see on weekends, based on the simple fact that there's low volume on weekends, which is why I generally try not to trade into it. Either way, everything else is looking pretty strong here. This is generally a favorable or slash bullish daily time frame. And we look at the 4-hour time frame here. This tells us a different story. When we were looking at this earlier, we could see that we were below the 50-day SMA. As I mentioned, generally being above that is a good sign. We're over the 20-day SMA as well. A lot of positive situations, a lot of positive factors, okay? We do take a look down below also, too. We can recognize RSI is still creeping up and hasn't fully hit 70 yet. So that's a good sign overall. Even though the money flow index is below the price action, I don't love that. It's lower because of how much selling pressure we saw. Because again, if you gotta recognize, the money flow index is a 14 candlestick lag. So in the 4-hour time frame, that's roughly 2.5 trading days. So back here, a lot of the selling pressure is evaluated there, or averaged in, if you will. So it's going to give us some false readings. So again, if you don't know that, you're going to probably use some kind of market cipher indicator. It'll see some red dots, try to sell when it's actually a green square. I don't know what it is, but either way you look at it, when you're using stuff like that, that kind of takes a lot of different things together. Maybe it's best to go back to like more of a primitive, basic identification so you know kind of what's going on. That's essentially what's working on in the background if you're not familiar already. Anyways, I reference that because a lot of my community uses that, even though I prefer not to. Just, I guess maybe I've been trading for too long and I don't really care to use those kind of indicators. I think they can be very, very misleading because people use like 15 different time frames, and that indicator alone I think has like 8 to 10 different validation points within it. It's just too flawed in my personal opinion. Anyways, we're not here for that. Last but not least, on the hourly, we can see the Ichimoku cloud still confirming as we did before. Green light, leave your long position open. There's no reason to take a short with this coin. I don't care if it's overextended. I don't care if you see a hidden bearish divergence on a 3-minute time frame, whatever it is that you use. That is not going to work out at this point. We got too much volume, too much consistency, and there's a lot of things that need to change for that for us to break down. Not to say we couldn't still pull back. You just got to recognize that for the most part, we're still likely to increase at this point. The last thing I maybe want to touch on here is that I discussed briefly with my community earlier, like a potential for head and shoulders pattern. We closed above 68K today, which seems very likely. I think that's going to be invalidated. Okay, so again, I wouldn't attach yourself to that. The key takeaway is if you have a bearish pattern and everything else is bullish, that immediately invalidates the bearish pattern. Okay, and I know some folks are going to be reaching. They're going to say like, oh, well, there's a rising wedge pattern. Well, what about that? Well, every pattern is going to eventually play out if you continue to look for them. The key takeaway is, do those contribute to what the overall analysis is telling us? Right now, the TA is screaming bullish convergence, and the price is more likely to continue higher. I prefer to go with the grain. That's just me personally. All right, so we'll go ahead and cover other altcoins soon, later today, possibly more likely tomorrow, and we'll reevaluate. My speculation here is that Bitcoin may continue to progress to sweep just a little bit more liquidation, pull back. A good, excellent entry for a long at this point is possibly 68,000 if we even see that again. All right, so that's generally what we're looking at. So I'm glad to see that initial playout worked out. Speaking of playouts, I'll post our playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord as per usual. Not familiar, it looks a little something like this. Trust no other channel. I have a lot of imposters, unfortunately. While it's very flattering, it's very ridiculous that I have to ban a new crypto cash in my Discord community pretty much daily. It's pathetic. Make sure, by the way, if you are part of our Discord community, you familiarize yourself with the important stuff here. What is it? It's our report scam section. You'll see how often people try to impersonate me. It's pathetic. So don't fall for that. I'll never direct message you. I'll respond to you if you want to reach out to me. All my information is below, but please, folks, don't trust anybody online. Specifically, not somebody that's trying to solicit you. I don't need to do that. I don't have time for that. I just love analyzing the charts, and I love and appreciate your support. Thank you so much again. Don't forget to like the video, comment below, take advantage of our Bitunix offer here as well. That's all down below too if you haven't already seen that. So appreciate you watching. Have yourself a great rest of your day. We'll see you the next one. Take care.